Well, well, well. If it isn't you again, well, I guess I'm here too. I'm beginning to see a pattern. We keep kind of showing up at the same place at the same time. I'm almost beginning to think that you like me. But maybe I like you a little bit too. So I think I'm going to keep showing up here if you can promise to keep showing up here yourself. Is it a deal? Cool. So, on today's episode of Gym Therapy, we're going to be doing a chest and try day. And we're going to be talking about expectations. And we're going to be talking about preferences. I think I want to talk about this mostly because there's this reel or TikTok going around of this young maiden who says, I'm looking for a man in finance, trust fund, 6'5", blue eyes. And I think it's funny, but I've also seen some conversations kind of popping up again about delusional expectations, unacceptable preferences. And I think there's maybe some truth to preferences and expectations being like, maybe if you're unshakable on these things, it's probably not the best look for you. But I also think that having preferences is perfectly okay. It's a very touchy subject. There is, and I'm going to talk about it from the male space because that is what I'm most subjected to. There's a lot of men who have either a scene or host or whatever, these really toxic podcasts that solely exist to shame and belittle women for the things that they're looking for in life and the way that they're behaving and all these kinds of things. And I just want to address that while also addressing that, like, yes, some preferences are problematic, but only when you're shaming people. You can like and be into, I think, whatever you want. At the end of the day, it's your life and it's your partner, and you have to spend the rest of your life with them. On the one hand, if you're so unshakable in your preferences and your preferences realistically are kind of crazy, then you also have to accept the fact that maybe you never find whoever it is you're looking for. But on the other, as long as these preferences aren't hurting anyone and you aren't shaming people who don't happen to fit them, who cares? Like, if I wanted a woman with 6 legs, 4 arms, and a $1 trillion net worth, then that should be okay. As long as I'm not shaming the 2-legged women, right? And as long as I'm okay with the fact that I'm never going to find her. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that. Kind of the preferences that are commonly cited, what I think about them on each side, and just give my perspective a little bit. Because at the end of the day, I think we're all looking for happiness, and I think the reality for a lot of humans is that they are happier when they are together. So I want to help all of you get married by the year 2031. You gotta give it time, right? You gotta find the person, then you gotta date them for a little while. You gotta set up the wedding. You gotta cancel the first date because ultimately it didn't work out because you had a kid on the way suddenly. So then you'd have to maneuver it around, and it's a destination wedding. So then you have to worry about travel plans for everybody. So I just want to give everyone enough time to get it all together. So we're gonna coach you through these preferences and how we're gonna find a partner, and then but keep it believably in a reasonable time frame. So I'm gonna turn this camera off. We're gonna hop on in the gym and we're gonna get this workout going. See ya. The first exercise we're gonna do is a incline dumbbell press of weight that I am not even totally sure that I'm gonna be able to lift here, because we're trying to get stronger and we're going up in weight every single week. So we're gonna do 3 sets of 5 or 6 is kind of where we're hoping to be. And then we're going to get to our usual yapping. So we're going to take a sip of water and immediately hydrate ourselves, because that's how sipping water functions. Whew. Here we go. We'll take that. All right, so onto the topic of today. Expectations. I think the common ones that I see thrown around a lot are from girls on the internet who are being interviewed by perhaps disingenuous men. And they commonly cite the 666 thing, right? The 6 inches, 6 figures, 6 foot. I think in a vacuum, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just a preference, right? I think what's problematic is shaming people who don't meet those metrics. Like if you're going on a date with someone, right? And you find out, maybe you don't know what they do for work, you find it out, and then you call them like a brokey or something. Or, I don't know, some people end up having sexual encounters without discussing sexual things beforehand, and I think it's okay to be disappointed if someone doesn't meet your preferences. But I also think we as people should have compassion and, you know, I think laughing at someone because they're not XYZ thing that you're into, you know, getting up and putting your clothes on and walking away. I mean, I don't know. Have a heart. If this person's been super nice to you, if you feel sexually attracted to them, would you then want to just like, I don't know, this is a touchy subject because you should be able to say no at any point throughout the entire interaction when you meet someone or when you're seeing someone. But man, I'm hard pressed to think that kind of screwing over someone's feelings is like what you want to do. Like if I met a girl and I don't know, it's hard for me to find like an equivalent in my head because it's just not something I would do. Like if I was into her personality enough, if I was into her, you know, the way she outwardly projected herself enough to sleep with her, once the clothes are off, I can't think of a single thing that could be that I would just be like, oh, got up, put my clothes on and got out of there. But I've seen posts on Reddit where like, again, it's a post on Reddit though, it's a post on the internet, people could just be lying, but they've said things like, you know, we got naked and he had a micro penis and I swooped out of there. Is it wrong? No. Is it emotionally weird? I think so a bit. So, I don't know. It's a tough one. Anyway, to the topic at hand. I would like to preface, I don't know if I said it earlier in the intro, but I'm saying it again right now. This is a very opinionated topic. I don't think there's any right answers, and I'm not, any of my opinions that I say, I am not putting them forth as fact. I'm just literally giving my opinion. I think it's okay to have preferences. I think it's okay to search for people who fit those preferences. What I don't think is it's not okay to shame people who don't fit them. The most common one, and I see it from men, I see the shaming thing probably from men the most, towards women. Like, it's the commonly thrown around the 666, 6 inches, 6 figures, 6 feet tall. That's what they, you know, the ideal man is like those things are above. And it's always guys, like, just absolutely dunking women for it. Are those preferences a bit unrealistic? Maybe. If we look at the average income from men in the United States, it's like $40K. If you look at average height for men in America, it's like 5'9", 5'10". And if we look at average length, it's like 5 inches. So it's like, if these girls that we commonly see on the internet are putting forth what is the majority view, well, all of them would prefer an above average man in every metric. Is that realistic? Maybe not. But I don't think there's anything wrong with searching for it, as long as you're still open to a guy who maybe doesn't fit all those things, but maybe fits some of them, and he excels in one way more than the other. I think as long as you're not closing yourself off to love because of some preconceived narrative in your head, you're on the right track. Let's get a set in. That's tough. I think men have equally unrealistic standards too. But again, they're only problematic when you're shaming people for them. I guess they're only problematic as if you're also truly looking for love and you're just stopping yourself from ever having a chance because you're unwilling to compromise. And men create a lot of men's problems, let's be honest. There's like the Tinder statistics, if any of you guys have seen them, and it's something like 70 or 80% of girls are fighting for like the top 20% of men or top 30% of men or whatever it is in terms of like physical attractiveness. And they're like, girls have an abundance of options. Well, whose fault is that? Look in the mirror. Are you a guy who's a 9 out of 10? Are you swiping right on girls that you would not have a relationship with, but would have sex with? You're part of the problem. Are you and be honest, I think a really important part of dating is just being honest with yourself. I unequivocally am no Brad Pitt or Chris Hemsworth or whoever XYZ attractive man is in society's perception. I do not think, under any circumstance, that I'm gonna marry Shakira, okay? Or like, who's a really beautiful woman that society says is so. I'm not hip on society, if you could tell. When I was younger, Angelina Jolie was a baddie. I don't know if people still think she is. I don't really do popular culture like that. But I'm under no delusion those girls aren't interested in me. And I would never swipe right on those women either. Because I know that it's never going to happen. I feel like I have a pretty good grasp of how attractive I am. And I tend to, I think, date around where I perceive myself. Men who don't get used, right, by people who are not interested and only want attention, or they create the problem of, maybe you're a significantly more attractive man and you're giving attention to girls you have no intention of dating, so those girls who you would never date can't date people who would date them. So you're part of the problem, taking them out of the dating pool for other men. Because what? You're horny? Bro, go jerk off. Maybe that's extreme. I also don't think there's any problem with I see it online, it's like, people say that girls are delusional and, every girl's a 10 or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Like, who cares? Be a 10. I'm a 10. I look in the mirror and I like the guy that I see. But I also understand that I'm not going to be a 10 to everybody who sees me. I also don't think there really are any 10s in the world. I think everyone at most is like a 9, and then preference makes you a 10. There might be a girl who's just like over the moon with what I look like, and then there could be a girl who thinks I'm a 1, right? Because they don't like tattoos and they don't like really extremely muscular men with killer mustaches, and that's fine. I don't care. At the end of the day, I'm happy with me, and I think we all need to get to a place where we are happy with us. We have a good grasp of like our own appeal, right? Like, I know I appeal to a certain demographic of women, so those are the women that I date. I don't try to go above it. I also don't waste people's time who I'm not interested with just because, I'm horny. And I think everyone, literally everyone, would be having a better time if more people adopted that strategy. Let's get another side. And that's it. So while I go pick these up, we will, I think, go hit another chest exercise. I'm gonna compound the pain and the gain. And I'll see you at the next machine. All right, next machine, chest press. I like to do the incline into the machine. All right, we're not gonna really focus on like strength here. We just wanna get as much stretch on the bottom, at the top, really 3-4 sets. Burn out those chest muscles, and then after that, we're gonna go do a tricep exercise. So let's get that first set in. That's good. So to get to the shame part of it, I think one of the shittiest things you can do to someone is shame them for something they can't control. That's men, that's women, everybody. I think the most common one I see is like, God, I'm getting controversial. But the most common one I've seen is you sleep with a girl. And maybe things don't work out. Maybe you guys don't date. And a guy will say, you know, it was loose, or it was roast beef, or it smelled. For in the inverse, you know, he was small. He didn't last very long. He didn't make me finish. And I think whatever it is, right? Whatever you're going to your girlfriends after the fact, you're going to your male friends after the fact, you're posting it on Twitter, you're complaining about it on Reddit. It's just all so weird to me. Like, this person you obviously got along with enough, and they trusted you enough to be intimate with you, right? There's a reason we don't walk around public with all of our clothes off. It's private, right? So why would you then go share something that you view as a flaw and try to, roast them because they didn't want to date you? You roast them because the intimacy fizzled out, the lust or whatever it was. I just don't get it. It's how they were born. So unless we're going about life thinking that people are born flawed, which I like to think they're not, right? Whoever you are, whatever you look like, you're okay. You were born with one leg, that's the cards you were dealt, and there's nothing wrong with it. You were born with, I don't know, anything. Weird freckles. Maybe one thumb is bigger than the other one by like a centimeter. That's just how you are, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I think if you're trying to shame someone for something they can't control, especially in an intimate fashion, I don't know that there's levels. I don't know that one is worse than another. But shaming people for how they are intrinsically is fucked up of you. And if I find out that you're doing that, look, if I find out that any of you guys are doing that, and it didn't stop right now, because I believe in second chances. You might have made some mistakes in the past, but if you're doing it after you watch this video, after this moment right here, I'm finding you. I'm gonna find your social media. I'm gonna figure out what gym you go work out at, and you're gonna be, innocently doing your chest press just like me here, and you're just gonna feel a strong, manly hand on your shoulder right here. I'm just gonna give you a little squeeze, and I'm gonna be like, "Hey, buddy. So I heard you were being rude to Stephanie. Had some things to say about her because your relationship didn't work out. What's going on with that?" And you're gonna have to explain it to me face to face. Stops today. I'm not gonna get on you about your cardio. I'm not gonna get on you about not putting extra weight on your lifts every week, I will get on you about how you treat other people. Because that's just plain wrong. There's no way around it. You not increasing your weights is hurting you. You making fun of someone because of the way that they were born, not okay. Let's get a 7. But going back to preferences, it's okay to maybe not prefer something. Like hypothetically, this guy that you're talking to is 5'7", and it's just not for you. You shouldn't be shamed for not wanting to be with a 5'7" man. Just like guys, if they don't want to be with a woman with brown hair, there's nothing wrong with that. Some people find some things attractive, some people don't. Again, we're going back to it's a problem of shaming people. Alright, so that's going to be it for this chest press. And we are going to go get a tricep exercise in. One of my favorites. But maybe not the one you think. So see you in a second. Alright, so we're going to be doing the tricep extension. We're going to hunched over, kind of getting our arm behind the body so we can get the most stretch on that tricep. So yeah, pretty self-explanatory. You'll kind of see how I do it. Not so much focused on the weight, just, getting it all the way back, bringing it all the way forward. So let's get a set in real quick. Alright, so back to preferences. I think, here, me, the guy who's single at 30, giving relationship advice. I think if you're restricting yourself to a very narrow spectrum of people, whether you're a guy or a girl, you're just making your own life harder. I mean, I'm not telling you your preferences are wrong. But why are your preferences the way they are? If you're 5 foot, we're gonna go for the girls. You're a 5 foot woman. Do you know the difference between 5'10" and 6 foot? Like, really? Like, can you look at, I show you a picture of a guy in public who's 5'10", and I show you a picture of a guy who is 6 foot, randomly in public, not next to each other. Could you tell me which one was which? No. I feel like you're just checking boxes. Right? Same thing for men. For men, it's a little bit different. It's less like she has to be XYZ height or she has to be like XYZ income. And it's more like she's got to be slim thick or she's got to have like a 9 out of 10 face. It's like, are you a 9 out of 10? Be honest. When we're talking about expectations and we're talking about preferences, it always gets brought up, you know, what does the guy or what does the girl bring to the table? And I genuinely don't understand what that even means. Like, obviously, we're gonna use a guy. You make 6 figures. You're 6 foot tall. You've got a 10-inch schlong. Great guy, it sounds like, right? Like, he's got a lot going for him. You meet a girl. What are you bringing to the table? Like if we're being realistic, what are you bringing to the table? If we're gonna ask women that, I feel like we should be asking the inverse. Because I think what you're really bringing to the table in relationships is personality. It's how you treat the other person. Men get mad at girls because they treat them like wallets, because they treat them like just like things that give them attention. But that's how we objectify ourselves. We're like, oh, we have to grind and get all the money. Oh, I have to do XYZ thing to build value in myself. You yourself are saying you only have value because you've accomplished things. And I think that's totally backwards. The value you bring to a relationship is the empathy that you can give another person. It's a shoulder to lean on when they are weak. It's helping them out when they're struggling. It's, giving a 2-income household because it's expensive to buy property in 2024. I'm just kidding on that last one. It is expensive though. Objectify ourselves as men, and we wonder why that's what we see on the internet. You're already doing it. You're already saying, I have no value unless I'm 6 foot. I have no value unless I'm 6 figures, and I have no value if I'm not 6 inches. So I think in some level, everyone's guilty, right? The girls that think that way are guilty, but we as men are guilty too. Let's get a set. I think our society has a lot of problems when it comes to this kind of stuff. We wonder why men are lonely. We wonder why women say, every guy is a bad guy, men ain't shit, that all kind of thing. Like, everybody, I feel like, is having trouble finding a partner. Not everyone. Some people. Enough people where it's like meta to talk about. But I think we disqualify so many people because of so many metrics, because of, I think, largely online dating. I like to imagine if we were, you and me, the viewer, we're at a bar and I meet you. I'm partying with my friends, club music's like pumping. I'm like, oh, hey, what's up? How are you? Oh yeah, you come here a lot? Those are your friends? That's dope. So what do you guys do for work? You said they're work colleagues? Oh, super cool. Yeah, I'm with my friends too. We just got off of work. And you strike up that conversation and you get to know that person really organically. And all your chemistry is built off of how you're communicating, how you're interacting. Whereas today, with dating apps, it's like you get on like Hinge or whatever, and you have 6 photos, and you have prompts, and you have stats with like height and zodiac and hometown and college career, and you just have so many things, and you're just like, okay, checkbox, oh, X, swipe to the left. It's like the first thing that you might not vibe with, we're just disqualifying people. It's complex. I think about our parents. They just had so much more of an organic way to actually meet people. where it wasn't solely based on like all 30 things that you're looking for in a partner where you could just immediately disqualify. I think finding a partner, it's good to have preferences, but it's also good to be willing to compromise on some level. Like, you telling me if hypothetically maybe you're a guy and you're looking for a girl and she has a good little job, seems like she has a good head on her shoulders, you have really good banter, you meet in person, and she turns out to be 5'9" and you're 5'10". Assuming she has no problem with it, are you really disqualifying her just because she's nearly as tall as you? Why? I don't know. Maybe I'm out of the touch. Maybe I'm out of the loop. Maybe I should just... It's hard to believe that I'm wrong on this, even though it is super opinionated, when so many people complain about being lonely. Romantically. I'm lonely because my parents beat me. Alright. So that's done. We're going to go and do another chest exercise, if that's okay with you guys. And then our second to last exercise of the day, we're doing the old chest flies. One of, I think, everyone's favorites. Who doesn't love a good chest fly? Let's get this first set in. Fuck. That is a lot of weight. I guess this shaming people based on your own preferences, if you find someone who doesn't fit them, is wrong. But it's also so weird to shame people for their preferences. Why aren't we allowed to just like what we like? I think you can think something's like weird or unrealistic without roasting people in the court of public opinion. Like, for me, I think being a furry is not for me. However, I would never go out of my way, like going on a TikTok or a reel or a YouTube video of someone who enjoys that hobby and is posting about it and being like, yo bro, this is so cringe, this is so weird, delete yourself. Like, why are you so hateful? Do you have that kind of time? Is it enjoyable? I understand, like, a lot of people get joy in making people upset. They're like rage baiting. And sometimes I say controversial things, to get a hee-haw from my friends. But I'm talking about people who, like, legitimately are going out of their way to, like, dunk on people just because they don't like the things that they like. And this isn't just even, like, dating anymore. This is just, like, general stuff, right? Like, maybe someone thinks it's childish to get anime tattoos, and they're like, oh, your tattoos are so awful, bro. Like, you should tear off all your skin. You need to get rid of those tattoos. You need to get a cover up. Like, who cares, bro? It's not on you. It's on me. And I like them. Why are you so upset that you have to put the things that you like onto me? Our society is very strange. I think with the advent of the internet, so many people who are problematic have been given an avenue to do really strange stuff as well. is very incredibly tough at this point. Also, I think it's kind of disingenuous to roast people for their preferences when I feel like everybody probably has some inherent preferences. Like, I would be so surprised if a single person in this world had zero preference for a potential partner. Like, truthfully, like, deep down inside, they just were open to literally anyone. Because I feel like if they were literally open to everyone, they would not be alone. A lot of guys will, like, kind of put forth this thing where, like, they don't care about your job, and, you know, they could work at Walmart, and, you know, they could have XYZ hobbies, blah, 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 as far as looking for a partner. But then, like, the caveat is they have to be attractive. So we're just leaving that out, like, guys will date anybody as long as she's hot enough. That's a preference, bro. Be for real. I'm so done on this. Last, we're gonna go do some weighted dips. And we're gonna call it a day. All right, I am not sure how many of these I'm gonna do because my chest is already a little bit torched. On my triceps, obviously, you're working your triceps on your chest day too. So I'm just gonna do like a warm-up set, and then we're gonna probably put a 45 on this belt, and then we will see how it goes. I can already tell it's gonna be tough. Anyway, I can't face everybody, so I'm gonna face the other way as I belt this guy on and see how it goes. Hopefully my chest isn't my limiting factor here. It's less than I wanted. Honestly, considering it's our third exercise, I'm not mad at it per se. It was very touchy on that first one. That's why I didn't go down all the way. Part of it is just getting used to the movement, I suppose. I'm just gonna do one more. Try and get as many as we can. Probably another 8. It was like 8. I'm gonna go from there. So today's been a very touchy subject, and I don't know how it's gonna necessarily be received. A lot of people in this kind of space of preferences, and if it's okay to have preferences, if it's not okay, you know, if it's, in my opinion, a delusional preference, I should shame people for it. Like, everyone thinks they're right about so many things. When I wish everyone could just be more open about their opinions and realize in some ways, a lot of ways, you are your own worst enemy when it comes to, I guess that a lot of this has to do with relationships. You're your own worst enemy when it comes to finding a potential partner that you are compatible with. Because if you're shutting people down just based on first look, based on the college they went to, based upon their how big their hands are, or whether they have a beard, or if they have dogs and you like cats, like, I get it. Preferences are good. But think about your dating life. Do you feel happy with how it is? I want you at home right now, raise your hand if you are happy with what your dating life has provided you with in the past decade. If the answer is no, Maybe you just need to reevaluate some things. If the answer is yes, keep doing you, as long as you're not hurting other people. If you're hurting other people, I don't care if you're happy. You need to cut that shit out. Let's get this other set. The first one is like so. Fuck, I had to give myself a little lift off there. My muscles are so tired, and I had to give myself that little push, or we weren't finishing it. So I'm gonna pick this 45 up and see you guys in the car. All right, and we are done for the day. Whew, it was a good chest day. But you guys know that. You just watched me do it. We talked about a lot of stuff. A lot of it may be controversial. Please don't cancel me. I only just started. I swear I have the best of intentions. I think it's an important topic. Just healthy expectations, healthy preferences, and the healthy expression of them. You can hurt people's feelings very easily. And maybe you don't care about other people's feelings, but why not? Right? Like, we're all people. Everybody's going through their own troubles, their own struggles. They're all living in their own bubbles. That's a bar. Catch me on my next EP. We're all living our own lives. And I think everybody's valuable. And I think, what does it cost you to not be an asshole? Right? If someone's been intimate with you, what does it cost you to not try to irrevocably hurt them? Like, if you shame someone for like their body parts, largely they can't change that. Like, and I promise you, if you say something awful, they're never going to forget it. Like, somewhere in the back of their mind, they will always remember that you were the person that said that thing about them, be it man or woman. And maybe in your head you're like, good, they deserve it. Do they? How would you feel if that was you? I feel like there's always like two sides to every story in most situations. There are like some things that are unforgivable. Like, this person maybe cheated on you, and then that's what's caused you to insult them to like their friends and their family and all that kind of stuff. But what kind of person does that make you? Like, yeah, they hurt you, but what did you do in return? I think it's important we perceive ourselves in a better way, and we express that in a healthy manner. You might think that the things that you're doing are justified when it comes to shaming people. You might think the things that you're doing are justified. Like, hypothetically, you go on a date with a guy and he lied about his height by like several inches, something egregious. It's not like 1 inch and he'll be like, oh, well, in shoes I'm 6'3", but without them I'm 6'2", right? No, like, he said he's 6 foot on his profile and he's 5'7". I'd be like, yo, bro, it is okay to bring it up. Like, hey, I thought like on your profile you said this, because that is outright deception. And if they're being deceptive on their profile about this or that, then they're probably being deceptive about something else. And maybe even it's a conversation to be had about self-esteem, and like, it's okay to be you and you should express yourself as you are, not what you think other people want. But maybe that's a societal thing. Maybe society is so harsh on people in some demographics that they don't feel like it's okay to be themselves. And that's something we all have to work on. But at the same time, don't lie. I know it might be hard to admit that, you're whatever height or you're whatever weight, or, you have whatever education level. But honesty is so important. The way that you portray yourself on an everyday basis is so important. And it's not worth some stranger's one-off opinion of you. It doesn't matter if you lie. And like, if your perception is, if I can only get a chance with my dream girl, she'll be able to look past the thing. She won't, because you've already set that relationship up to be a failure because you started it with deception. Be you and be honest. And I think for people on the other side of the coin, I would implore you, if you're not happy with your dating life, to be more flexible. I would implore you not to publicly shame men, publicly shame women because of their preferences or because they don't fit your own. It's not healthy and it's not okay. If you're being a great bestie out there, though, props to you. Keep it up. If you're not, I'm going to come find you in the gym, hand on shoulder. I talked about it earlier. But with that being said, that's going to wrap up today's video. I hope I said something positive. I hope I said things that weren't so terribly controversial. Honestly, I think it's a topic worth talking about, especially with how picky people can be, with how willing they are to just scratch out everyone they meet because they don't have green eyes. Well, if they don't have green eyes, I just can't marry them because, you know, my kids then won't have the potential for green eyes. And I've dreamed about a husband with green eyes since I was a kid. Well, are you single? How old are you? What if this guy gives you everything in the world? What if this girl is the best thing to ever happen to you and we're crossing them out for having brown eyes instead of green? It just doesn't make sense to me. And then hypothetically you would double down and try to publicly shame them for their brown eyes. It's a bit ridiculous, and I don't think reflects badly on them as much as it reflects badly on you. Because what kind of person just drags people like that? Maybe you got a bunch of likes from your friends who are going to support you and gas you up, but do you really think doing those kinds of things is positive? If you're running that podcast where you're shaming women for their preferences, even if they're like a bit kind of weird, do you think absolutely roasting them to death for content makes you a good person? You can have healthy conversations with people like I'm trying to do through this video and try to change people's minds and shift their perspective. And then there's just being an asshole for clout. And I just hope that everyone can kind of get away from that, honestly. I think if more people lift each other up, we just have a better society. But I'm a little bit optimistic, I would say, in terms of like how I view the world and how I would like things to be. Like, I'm very realist as far as acknowledging what the world is, but I'm so optimistic about seeing the potential in everyone. And I hope that through the course of this series, that can rub off on some of you guys. But that's all we have for today. Until the next video, I'll see you later.